Hello, my name is Daniel Hernandez, and in this video I will show you how to create an elastic load balancer in AWS. Some of the things that we will see in this lesson are the following. We are going to create a couple of EC2 instances, install Internet Information Server in these instances, access the EC2 instances using their DNS record. Next, we will create an elastic load balancer, add the EC2 instances to the load balancer, and then access the load balancer DNS record to see how the requests are load balanced by the servers. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to create a couple of EC2 instances. We click on EC2 instance, we click on services, and then we select EC2. We click on instances, and then we click on the button launch instances. In the first step to create EC2 instances, we are going to choose an Amazon machine image. For this video, we will select Microsoft Windows Server 2012 R2 base. Next, we are going to choose the instance type. For this video, we will select the type micro, and then we will click on configure instance detail. In the configure instance details page, we will specify two instances. And we will leave the default values, and then we click on add storage. In the add storage page, we will leave the default values again. Then we click on tag instance name. Here we are going to write a name for our EC2 instances. In this case, we will type something like my EC2 load balance instances, and then we click on configure security group. In the configure security group, we will add one additional rule, and for this additional rule, we will select the HTTP. We leave the default values, and then we click on review and launch. We review the details of our EC2 instance. Storage, we review the storage and the tags, and then finally we click on launch. If we already have an existing private key file, we select that private key file, and then we click on launch instances. We click on the view launch log to see the status of each one of the steps for the instance, and then finally we click on view instances. In the view instances page, we see that the state that the that the state of the instance is still pending, it is still initializing. So we will wait for a couple of minutes until the instance is created. Okay, once the two EC2 instances are created, we are going to install Internet Information Services in these instances. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to connect to each one of these EC2 instances and install Internet Information Server. We right click on one of the instances and then we click on connect. We click on download remote desktop file. Then we click on the get password button. We look for the PEM file. We click on open. Then we click on decrypt password. Then we open the RDP file. We click on connect. And then we provide the credentials, the administrator password to access this instance. What we are going to do is we are going to install the Internet Information Server in this instance, and then we will repeat the same process in the next instance. So we wait for some minutes until we are able to access the EC2 instance. And while we are waiting, we will try to connect to the second EC2 instance. So I will repeat the same process. I will right click on the second EC2 instance, click on connect, download remote desktop file, click on get password, click on the decrypt password button, open the RDP file, click on connect, and then provide the administrator password for this EC2 instance. And then we log in to this second EC2 instance. So I will go to the previous EC2 instance and see if that instance is ready. Just 1 second. Okay, this instance is ready. What I will do next is I will open the server manager to install Internet Information Server. I will click on the manage item, and then I will select add roles and features, and I will try to do the same process in the other EC2 instance. Just 1 second. Okay, the second EC2 instance is still loading. I will click on server manager and I will go to the first instance. So this EC2 instance, I will click on the next button. In the step before you begin, I will click on the next button. In the installation type, I will leave the default value, role-based or feature-based installation, and click on next. In the server selection, I will leave the default value and click on next. In server roles, I will scroll down the list of roles, and then I will select the web server IIS, and then I will click on the button add features, and then I will click on the button next. I will leave the default values for the feature page and then click on next. In the web server role IIS, it is just an informative page, so I will click on next. In the role services, I will leave the default values and click on next. In the confirmation page, I will just click on the install button. Now I will go to the second EC2 instance and repeat the same process. So I will click on the manage button, then I will click on add roles and features. I will again repeat the same process. Before you begin a step, I will click on next. The installation type, I will leave the default value, which is role-based or feature-based installation, and click on next. In the select destination server, I will leave the default value and click on next. In the server roles, I will scroll down and select web server, and then click on add features, and then I will click on next. In the features page, I will leave the default values and click on next. In the web server roles, it is just an information page, and I will click on next. Role services, I will leave the default values and click on next. In the confirmation page, I will click just on install. Then I will go back to the first instance. Once the installation of IIS is complete, I will click on the close button. Then I will click on the Internet Information Server item. Next, I will right-click to the server where the Internet Information Services is installed, and then I will select Internet Information Services Manager. Here I will expand the content of the IIS server of the Internet Information server. I will expand the sites element. I will select the default website. I will right click on it, then navigate to manage website, and then click on browse. This will open a browser with the default content of the web server. This is the default content of the web server. What we are going to do is we are going to right click again in the default website, and then click on explore. After this, we will open the file IIS start in Notepad. And what we are going to do is we are going to delete the element style, and then we are going to replace the div element. We are also going to delete the div element, and then we are going to write a text in this page. We are going to write something like content provided by EC2 instance 1. And then we will save the changes on this file. We go back to the browser, and then we will refresh this page, and we will be able to see the changes that we just made to the page. Now we are going to do the same process for the other EC2 instance. Once IIS is installed, we are going to open the Internet Information Services Manager. Once the Internet Information Services Manager is open, we will expand the server. We will expand site. We will select default website. We right click on default website, click on manage website, and then click on browse. We will see the default page available for this Internet Information Server. We are going to edit this page, and to do this we right click on default website and click on explore. We are going to open the IIS start file in Notepad. We are going to delete the element style and the element div, and we are going to write some text here, something like content provided by EC2 instance 2. And then we will save these changes, go back to the browser, refresh the page, and we will be able to see that the changes on this page. Next, what we are going to do is we are going to access the EC2 instance, the EC2 instances using their DNS entry. Their DNS entry is the one that we have here in the screen. What we are going to do is we are going to access this DNS entry using a browser, and we will be able to see that we will be able to see the label that we added for the first instance. And if we try to access the DNS for the second instance, we will be able to see the label that we added for the second instance. Okay. Next, so at this point, what we have done is create a couple of EC2 instances, install Internet Information Services in each one of these instances, and then access those instances using the DNS and see the content of each one of these instances. Next, what we are going to do is we are going to create an elastic load balancer to load balance the request in each one of these instances. For this, we scroll down, then we click on the item load balancers. In the item load balancers page, we click on create load balancer. We write a name for our load balancer, something like my First, ELB. Then we click on the Assign Security Group. In the Assign Security Group, we select the security group that was created for our EC2 instances, and then we click on Configure Security Settings. In this video, we will leave these default values and then click on Configure Health Check. In Configure Health Check, we will remove the text index.html, and then in the healthy threshold, we will reduce the value from 10 to 2. We will reduce the value from 10 to 2. And then we will click on the button Add EC2 Instances. Here we are going to select the two EC2 instances that we created, and then we will click on Add Tags. Here in Add Tags, we could add tags to our load balancer, but in this video this is not required. So I will click on Review and Create. I will review the default configuration for my configuration values for the load balancer, and then I will click on Create. The load balancer is created. Next, what I am going to do is I will click on Instances, and see the instances that were added to the load balancer, and then I will wait for some minutes until the status of these instances, the health status of these instances is complete, is in service. Okay, once the two EC2 instances, once the health status of the EC2 instances is in service, we can access the load balancer DNS entry, and we will be able to see how the requests to the web servers is load balanced by the Elastic Load Balancer. You can see sometimes one request is redirected to the EC2 instance 1, while sometimes the request is redirected to the instance 2. Instance 1, instance 2. In this video, you learn how to create an Elastic Load Balancer for your EC2 instances. This is it for this lesson. Thanks for watching.